AI in Action is brought to you by Alldus International, covering your business's staffing, consulting, and networking needs. Our host Mark Kelly brings you the leading minds in AI, sharing their story, their success, and their advice. Focusing on fast-tracking you to the top, AI in Action cuts through the hype to help you kickstart your data science career. To listen to the latest AI in Action podcast, head over to www.alldus.com/podcast or subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Podcasts.
Welcome to the Alldus podcast. I'm your host, Mark Kelly, Chief Customer Officer at Alldus International. In today's podcast, as part of the Alldus AI in Action series, I'm speaking to Eran Udassin, Simplaex VP Product and Operations Director. Eran, very good to have you on the show today.
Thank you, Mark. Glad to be here.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into the world of data and AI?
So I was born and raised in Israel, and my academic background is mainly mathematics and physics, but my professional career started actually as a consultant to the government. I worked there for roughly 8 years, helping different decision makers make better decisions. I think that during that consultancy time, I realized that what draws me the most was to solve complex problems. And the methods that we used to solve these problems were means to a goal. Even though it always sparked interesting innovation and discussions, we always focused on the problems themselves, and they were the drawing factor. My team and I reinvented different analytical and qualitative methods to solve any problem that came to us. It varied from back of the envelope calculations, complex data manipulation, and frankly to say, most of the time it was just simple thought through common sense. It helped tremendously. And the problems were what drove us forward. The methods were fun treats along the way. After I left the government, I founded a company, which unfortunately is not operational anymore, where we aim to provide an answer to commuters. From there, I reached a company that I work at now, Simplaex, where I run the product called Rivr, where we address finding needles in haystacks for an industry that is notoriously dealing with huge amounts of decision features and competing algorithms, and that's the programmatic ad tech. So maybe the short answer to your question is that I got to the world of AI because this was just the way to solve the problems that I'm interested in. Currently, Rivr and the problems that we're solving are just a very fertile ground to harness predictive AI.
It sounds like you had a really broad breadth of experience there, and a startup founder as well, which will give you a lot of different types of learnings along the way. What does Simplaex do, and how do you leverage data science and machine learning?
Sure. So one thing that is very clear in the programmatic edtech industry is that digital traffic is booming. And it's safe to say that supply, meaning places to put ads in, are higher than demand, is higher than demand, meaning advertisers seek to show their ads less than what the availability to show ads. And this creates huge problem of huge amounts of waste that overburden the industry. And what Rivr does, it helps filter out that waste. We allow our customers, mainly entities that are called SSPs, to become higher profile players in the system. We save them tens of thousands of dollars each month, and their demand partners, their customers, then have a higher value of working with our customers. This is a process that is part of a larger term in edtech called traffic shaping, and I feel that we are driving it forward. We are the cutting edge in it.
Tell us a little bit about the struggles that you faced when applying AI as a product, because it's not necessarily a straightforward process.
And basically, our product aims to predict the monetizable events in clients' data to decrease their processing costs. that, of course, it's a huge problem on our end. If our costs of processing this are comparable to the clients, then our business model is at risk. So I would say that one of our greatest challenges was to make sure our processing and training costs stay as low and don't grow linearly with the amount of data. If we have different clients with completely different data structures, formats, and terminologies, just to make the problem even worse, if we would grow in cost as much as they do, then we would be at a problem. But I'm happy to say that we found a very innovative way to tackling this. And maybe another challenge that we had to deal was the speed of inference. The industry, the edtech industry operates in milliseconds. All the auctions, all the bids, everything, all the ads are rendered in milliseconds. So one of our secret ingredients was to build a tool that can understand that single data point in this huge space of trillions of combinations of different websites, different browser, different users, and we can infer the best result in under 1 millisecond.
Really impressive, very, very impressive to hear about that. So when you actually go to the market and you're going to try to sell AI products to potential customers, they're not necessarily going to pick them up straight away and understand everything about them, but it's very important that they do and they can understand the concepts. How do you go about doing that?
I think it's important that if you try to sell the newest cutting edge technology, it always involves a step of proving what you want to achieve and what you say you can achieve, but also an education aspect. And when you sell B2B to tech companies, the learning curve might be a bit easier to climb. They understand what you're saying, but you still need to prove your work. But once they started asking questions, those questions are usually much more intelligent and hard to tackle. But once you face that, we struggle with another hurdle that surprised us, which is the buy versus build discussion. Some clients want to solve this problem themselves, and frankly, I can understand them. It's a cool problem to solve, but I'm not sure they comprehend, or that a client can comprehend before they actually tackle it, how hard it is to solve, and that you need a dedicated team and a relatively large team to tackle and solve such a problem. So that will be one of the issues in selling. And one important thing in the industry of edtech is the cutting edge and the competitive advantage that each player has. So what we always try to do is communicate to our partners that it's not just one-off sale and we give them the product and then everything is solved for them. It's a journey, and it's our unique expertise combined with their unique expertise that creates a product that is very tailored to them. There are no two clients that get the same models, no two clients that get basically the same product, mainly because how each client looks at the ecosystem and what it can affect in the ecosystem is completely different. So we never found a way, or we say it differently, we found that it's better to tailor everything to each client, and we found quick ways of doing it.
Eran, tell me a little bit about the top 3 industries that you could see the most impact from AI.
Interesting question, but it's hard to tell. My bet would be, I think, first, the medicine in all its aspects, either from aiding doctors and technicians in their day-to-day work to finding ways to harness and understand the biological system that we already carry. I think the second industry would be heavy machinery and material building, alerting for faults or creating better designs, because these are finance heavy industries and every optimization there can have a high yield. And for the same reason, maybe resource gathering, like agriculture or mining, those are all very finance heavy, and each percent of improvement can yield a lot of profit.
Where do you see the impacts in the ad tech?
Well, EdTech embraced AI pretty early on. User profiles and targeting are simple examples of it. But I think that the next big steps would be first adapting to new privacy expectations and regulations that pop up everywhere. And second, just making the system more scalable. Currently, there is so much waste going in the pipes, just a waste, and it burdens the industry. And inherently, tech data is abundant in this industry. Other industries can only envy. But if we keep duplicating it and sending it all over, then it's costly and not productive. And that's what we aim to solve with Rivr.
You've been listening to the Alldus AI in Action podcast series, and I've been speaking today to Eran Udassin, Simplaex VP Product and Operations Director. Eran, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you very much, Mark.
AI in Action is brought to you by Alldus International, covering your business's staffing, consulting, and networking needs. Alldus offer an exec search program. Alldus can help you discover how data science and AI can transform your company. With our unrivaled network of C-suite executives and senior AI professionals, we offer retained search services across the US and Europe. For more information, contact mark@alldus.com. Get the Alldus advantage. Become a member of the Alldus community and enjoy some of the following: AI meetups. Once a month, our community gathers to listen to some of the leading experts in the world of data science and AI. Our speakers come from all over the world, including Dublin, Boston, and Frankfurt. We also have our AI mentors. Our experts will provide mentoring to Alldus members. And don't forget our AI in Action podcast. Each week we have guests from all over the world talking us through their education, career, and more. Become an Alldus member and get the Alldus advantage. For more information and to sign up for our newsletter, log on to www.alldus.com. That's www.alldus.com. Alldus International, empowering through AI.